Welcome back. We're going to take another look at Venn diagrams in this section, and this time we're going to use our Venn diagrams to help us count directly. We've already looked at the inclusion-exclusion principle, which would help us find the number of things in A union B. So if we needed to know how many things are in all three of these regions of the Venn diagram, the inclusion-exclusion principle would help us out with that. Where we run into problems would be if we wanted to know something a little bit more precise, like how many things are only inside of A and not inside of B, or how many things are not inside of A or B. For that, we're going to use our Venn diagram to help us count directly. So we're going to use the fact that if we know how many things are inside of, for example, the overlap, A intersect B, and if I know how many things are inside of A, then I can use that to figure out how many things must be just inside of A. And that's, of course, just using a little bit of subtraction. If I know that there's 10 things inside of A and that there's 5 things in the overlap, well, then there must be another 5 things that are not inside the overlap. That's the idea that I'm referring to when I say we're going to use deduction to figure out what is going on with our counting problem. So let's do an example because this is easiest to see in practice. So for example one, we're taking a look at this story where we've got 100 households that have been surveyed, and we've asked the households whether they've got a Netflix subscription, whether they've got cable, whether they've got both, and we've got a bunch of information. The same sort of caution that I want to give here that I gave previously. Remember not to read extra words into the sentences that aren't there. So in particular, I'm looking at this statement, 76 have a Netflix subscription. That's not saying that they only have a Netflix subscription. They have Netflix and maybe they might also have cable as well. Same thing goes with the second statement about 21 people having cable. Again, some of those 21 include those who have Netflix. So before I start filling in my Venn diagram, I have to decide who is going to be set A and who is going to be set B. So I'm going to let A be the households that have Netflix. And I'm going to let B be the households with cable. Okay, so I'm just going to write some things down on the side, which you don't necessarily have to do, but I think it's nice to just sort of write out what we've been given. We know that there's 76 things inside of A. There are 76 households with a Netflix subscription, so the size of set A itself is 76. We've got 12 households with cable, or sorry, 21 households with cable, so the size of B, the size for the cable set is 21, and 12, that's how many households have both Netflix and also cable. So that would be the number of things in A intersect B. That should be 12. The other number that we should probably make note of is that there were 100 households. So our universe, the rectangle, in total should have 100 things inside of it. All right, so let's start filling in our Venn diagram, and I'm going to put in the amounts directly in the Venn diagram in all the relevant regions. So I'll start off by always beginning in the middle, and then I'm going to work my way to the outside. So I'm going to begin with the centermost fact, which is we know that there are 12 things in the overlap. There are 12 things in A intersect B. And then now I'm going to figure everything else out using deduction, thinking about subtracting if needed to find what are in the remaining regions. So I'm thinking about set B for now, working my way up the list. Set B, this entire circle, needs to have 21 things in it. And I already have 12 things that I've placed in one of B's two regions. Remember, B has two parts to it. There's the part of B that overlaps with A, and then there's the part of B that doesn't overlap with A. So B, I already know, has 12 things in it, so to make it have 21 things in total, I need 21 minus 12, which is 9 more items. And I can do the same sort of thing for the Netflix circle. Again, we know that there's supposed to be 76 households in the Netflix circle. We've already put 12 in, which means that there's a remaining 64 to be accounted for. And we're not finished yet, because remember, this Venn diagram has 4 regions: the overlap, the 2 regions that are just inside of A, just inside of B, and then we have a 4th region, the exterior, the parts that are not inside of A and also not inside of B. So this is where I'm going to use the fact that I know there should be 100 things in the universe. All 4 of these regions need to add up to 100. So I'm just going to quickly add up. What is 64 plus 12 plus 9? How many things have I already put into the Venn diagram? This all adds up to 85. So I have 85 things already in my Venn diagram. I need 100. So 100 minus 85, there are 15 more items left to go into my Venn diagram. And now that we have that, now that we've taken our Venn diagram and filled in all the regions, I can answer any question that you might have about who's got Netflix or cable or both or neither or anything of the sort. So let's tackle some sub-questions. Question 1 of the list: how many households do not have Netflix? So for all these questions, basically, I'm going to show my work by shading in the area that I'm considering. So not having Netflix would be not inside of A. So that would include that region. That's not inside of A. And the exterior, that's also not inside of A. And so now I'm going to go back to my Venn diagram and add up. We know that in the region that's just inside of B, there were 9 households, and in the exterior, there were 15 households. So in total, we've got 24 households don't have Netflix. If I wanted to do the second part, how many of the households do not have either of the 2 services? So not having Netflix, also not having cable. That would just be the exterior, and we know how many things are in the exterior. There's 15. So 15 houses don't have either of the 2 services. All right, a couple more follow-ups. Households that only have cable. So only have cable, that's only inside of B, not inside of anything else. That would be this little region here, and we know from our Venn diagram there were 9 households, so there we go. And then finally, we're looking for having exactly one of the services. So exactly one could be one of 2 places. Maybe you only have Netflix, so you're only in the A circle, you don't have cable. Or maybe you are only in the B part, you only have cable, you don't have Netflix. We're of course not including the overlap, because those would be the households with 2 services. So only Netflix, we know that there were 64 of those households, and only cable, we know that there were 9 of those households. So 73 households altogether have exactly one of the 2 services.